Okay, let's just jump right in. We've all done it, right? You land on a website and you're out of there in seconds. But what if the reason we leave has almost nothing to do with the cool colors or fancy fonts and everything to do with the blueprint? Today we're going to pull back that curtain and see why the hidden structure of a website, its layout, is the real secret to making it work.
You know, when a website fails, it's so easy to point fingers at the surface level stuff. We say, the colors are just awful, or I can't stand that font. But honestly, those are just symptoms. The real problem, the thing that's actually making it fail, is a layout that's just a mess. It creates confusion, it offers zero guidance, and it's completely disorganized.
So that begs the big question, right? If it's not the slick branding or the color scheme, where's the real point of failure? Well, it pretty much all comes down to a huge misunderstanding of how our brains are actually wired to process information online.
And that leads us to our first major point. We are about to uncover the one hidden factor that has way more control over whether a user sticks around than any style guide ever will.
And here it is, the core of this whole thing. Layout controls understanding. It's as simple as that. You could have the most gorgeous color palette in the world, the most elegant fonts, but if your user has no idea where to look or what to do next, all that beauty is completely wasted. Structure always has to come first.
Okay, so if we're going to build a better structure, we have to get inside the user's head. And let me tell you, the way people actually use websites is probably not what you're imagining.
Look, we'd all love to think that people are carefully reading every single brilliant word we write, but the hard truth? They're not at all. Online, we become information hunters. We scan for keywords, we skim headlines, we jump from one section to another, and we're constantly on the lookout for visual cues to tell us where to go. Your layout has to be built for this chaotic, non-stop behavior.
This quote just nails it. Think about a website like a highway sign. You have to get the most important information in a split second as you're flying by. That's the real goal of a great layout. It should scream its purpose almost instantly, not ask you to get comfortable and start on chapter 1.
And this scanning behavior, it isn't random. Eye tracking studies have shown this dominant pattern, especially for those of us who read left to right. We call it the F pattern. First, our eyes dart across the top of the page. Then, they drop down and scan the left side. And as they go down, they make these short little horizontal dashes to the right whenever something catches their eye. Knowing this, it's like having a cheat code for web design.
So, if we know users are scanners, how in the world do we build for them? Well, that's what we're digging into next. Creating layouts that are designed from the ground up to guide the user's eye and create a natural, intuitive flow.
And let's be super clear about what we even mean by layout. It's not just about where you put stuff. It's the entire arrangement, the order things appear in, and this is crucial, the spacing between everything. It's the visual rhythm of the page. A good layout isn't just structure, it's structure and flow working together perfectly.
Now, you might be tempted to create some groundbreaking, totally unique layout that no one's ever seen before. But here's a little secret. Familiar is almost always better. When a layout feels familiar, it reduces the amount of mental energy, the cognitive load that the user has to spend. They don't have to waste brain power trying to figure out how your site works so they can actually focus on your message.
Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood ideas in web design, above the fold. On the modern web, with all the different screen sizes out there, it's not a fixed amount of space. You need to think of it as a priority test. What is the absolute most critical information a user has to see the instant they arrive? That's what goes there.
So that first impression is everything. You've got maybe 3 to 5 seconds to answer 3 questions for your user. What is this place? Who is it for? And most importantly, why should I care? Get that right and they'll scroll. But if you fill that prime real estate with clutter, giant paragraphs, or a bunch of competing messages, they're gone.
Okay, so we've got the theory down. But where does this all fall apart in the real world? Let's talk about 3 of the most common layout traps that basically everyone falls into at some point.
Ah yes, the classic wall of text. You know exactly what I'm talking about. A giant, intimidating block of words with no breaks, no headlines, just text. It's the digital version of a door that's been slammed in your face.
So what does a wall of text actually do to a user? It gives them instant visual fatigue. It makes that scanning behavior we talked about impossible. There's no flow, no guide for the eye. The biggest takeaway here, and it's so important, is that white space is not wasted space. It's an active, powerful tool for creating clarity. All right, mistake number 2, the page that's like a maze with no exit. Everything is screaming for your attention. There are 10 different buttons to click, 7 different messages, and absolutely nothing stands out as the one thing you're supposed to do.
And the cost of all that confusion? Total paralysis. A confused user does nothing. They simply won't act. If they don't know what you want them to do, they'll just take the easiest path, which is usually the back button. A great layout makes that main action impossible to miss.
And finally, we have mistake number 3. This is what happens when every single section on a page has a totally different random layout. You've got a 2-column section, then a scented quote, then a weird zigzag pattern. It just feels chaotic.
This kind of inconsistency is just disorienting. It breaks the visual rhythm of the page and makes the whole experience feel unprofessional, even amateur. And when a page feels chaotic, user trust just tanks. On the flip side, consistency in your layouts builds confidence and makes the user feel like they're in good hands.
So how can you actually put all of this into practice? I want to give you a simple, really powerful tool that anyone can use on any website. It's called the 5-second test, and it's about to be your new secret weapon. Here's how you do it. Look at a web page for just 5 seconds. Then look away. Now try to answer these 4 questions. 1. Could you tell what the page was about? 2. Did you know where your eyes were supposed to go first? 3. Was the next step the main action? Totally obvious. And 4. What was your gut feeling? Did the page feel calm or did it feel stressful? This little test tells you almost everything you need to know about a layout's effectiveness. And that right there is the big shift in perspective. And I'm telling you, once you start seeing websites this way, you can't unsee it. You're no longer just looking at the pretty colors. You're seeing the invisible structure underneath. That's either guiding a user to clarity or leading them straight into confusion.
So I'll leave you with this one question to ask yourself on your own projects or just the next time you browse the web. Look past the style and really ask, is this layout an invisible guide that's helping me on my journey, or is it just another roadblock getting in my way? Because honestly, the answer to that question makes all the difference.